Effects of improper waste disposal. Did you know that effects of improper waste disposal can lead to a range of environmental, health and economic problems? Improper waste disposal is one of the most common forms of pollution in our natural environment. Improperly disposed wastes may be discarded into lakes, streams, rivers or oceans, where they contaminate water supplies and destroy aquatic life. Improper disposal also leads to many different types of pollution, which affects air quality as well as human health. These are just some of the effects when improper waste disposal occurs. Effects of improper waste disposal on human health. The improper disposal of waste has a significant and lasting negative effect on human health. One way that this can happen is through the leakage of untreated sewage into water sources, which would cause an increased risk for diseases like cholera due to contaminated drinking water, food poisoning from eating unsafe meat or vegetables, respiratory illnesses caused by inhaling airborne pathogens in environments where there are large amounts of animal faces such as poultry farms, etc. Other infectious disease outbreaks spread by animals who live close to humans without proper sanitation, including rodents such as rats whose droppings might contain bacteria or viruses. Improper waste disposal negatively impacts our quality of life, contributing towards various significant issues with public health stemming from contaminated airways all the way down to polluted waterways used for recreation. Effects of improper waste disposal on ecosystem. Water quality has been declining steadily throughout the years, with chemical waste buildup and improper disposal becoming more prevalent as communities grow in size. As an example, 1 billion gallons of raw wastewater are dumped into U.S. waterways every day from faulty septic systems that leak untreated feces matter back to nature, where it contaminates aquatic life, which can lead to death or illness for marine animals, including sharks and sea otters who have not evolved protection against these toxins, rooks. Waste disposal is a critical environmental issue because it can have negative effects on the environment. There are many adverse consequences of improper waste management, including soil and water pollution, contamination of air with toxic fumes from burning rubbish in an open place, and animal deaths caused by ingesting or being trapped inside these piles that contain harmful materials such as used needles. Effects of improper waste disposal on animals. Animals are negatively impacted by improper waste disposal as it can lead to water pollution, increased air contamination, and soil degradation. The animals we share this world with have their lives changed in a variety of ways when humans carelessly dispose of garbage that they no longer need or want. Animals suffer from drinking contaminated water sources, which lead them to have illnesses such as cholera. Breathing polluted air causes illnesses like pneumonia. The ground beneath our feet is becoming more barren due to toxic substances seeping into the earth. Researchers are just beginning to uncover the extent of how improperly disposed of trash affects animals. One crucial issue is that some species, like raccoons or seagulls, for example, scavenge through garbage instead of seeking food in nature as they would typically do, and this could be a significant source of toxins such as lead from paints on these containers. Effects of improper waste disposal. Effects of improper waste disposal on aquatic life. A recent study from Bangladesh uncovered that improper disposal of waste in developing countries could have a drastic effect on aquatic life. I don't want you thinking this is just another dry and tedious talk about water pollution. It's actually quite intriguing what exactly goes into our household cleaners or hair products. Bisphenol A, for example, poses many hazards upon contact with aquatic life forms like fish eggs in lakes and rivers. When it comes down to being mindful of the environment around us, we should all be aware as individuals who have an environmental impact on everyone else, because pollution can travel through waterways so quickly throughout communities, spreading dangerous chemicals downstream at alarming rates. Effects of improper waste disposal. Effects of improper waste disposal on plants. Improper waste disposal is actually harming our plants. Please take a moment to consider the effects of improperly disposing your trash on vegetation. It can kill trees, release toxic chemicals into soil and water systems that cause everything from liver damage in humans to cancer in animals. Contaminate local ecosystems with microplastics, which are nigh impossible for living organisms like fish or birds ingest them without becoming sickened by them. People often neglect to think about the effects of improper waste disposal on plants. When people dump their trash near a plant, they can not only deprive it of nutrients and water but also harm its roots by filling them with toxins like pesticides or heavy metals, which will affect how well that particular species grows. It is best for everyone in society if we all dispose of our garbage correctly so as to keep these problems from happening at any cost. Effects of improper waste disposal on agriculture. The improper disposal of waste is not only polluting the environment but also has an adverse effect on agriculture. Research done in countries like Ghana found that farmers who live near or downstream from rivers with high levels of sewage or industrial pollutants have a much lower crop yield than those living upstream. This goes to show just how vital recycling can be for society as well as our planet's future survival. Trash is not just a problem in your kitchen, but it has effects on the environment and agriculture. Every year improper waste disposal contributes to about 14% of greenhouse gas emissions worldwide from human activities, according to National Geographic. In addition, significant rivers are reported as having high levels of pollution that come from sewage system overflows caused by heavy rains or due to aging infrastructure, which leads toxic chemicals like mercury into crops such as wheat and barley for consumption by livestock animals, contributing further environmental degradation through bioaccumulation, leading us back where we started with food safety issues. Effects of improper waste disposal. Effects of improper waste disposal on climate change. Improper waste disposal contributes to climate change. When we use a landfill, the decomposing organic material can produce methane gas, which is an even more potent greenhouse gas than CO2 and has 23 times its warming potential that will increase global temperatures by 0.5 degrees Celsius over just 20 years. In order for our planet's ecosystem to remain healthy, it must be recognized as interconnected with all other aspects of life on Earth, including human activities such as improper waste disposal practices. When you bury your garbage in landfills without treatment or send them off into space, these actions make up about half of the artificial carbon emissions, contributing directly towards accelerating rates of global warming at alarming levels. Effects of improper waste disposal on global warming. We all know that recycling and composting is good for the environment, but did you know they can also help combat global warming? Improper waste disposal practices like dumping garbage in landfills have a massive impact on global warming due to greenhouse gases. The decomposition of organic materials such as food produces methane gas, which is significantly more potent than carbon dioxide when it comes to trapping heat from escaping out into space. Landfill emissions account for 25% of this type of greenhouse emission globally, making them a vital target both locally and nationally. If we work together by taking active steps towards reducing our trash output through better consumption habits or plans with local government officials, then collectively, these efforts will make a difference. Effects of improper waste disposal on the economy. The disposal of waste is a costly logistical process that has an adverse effect on the economy. A lot of raw materials and energy goes into manufacturing new products, but what happens to all those throwaway items? If not thrown out properly or recycled, they will eventually make their way to landfills and continue circulating in our environment for hundreds if not thousands of more years until decomposition occurs. This means that every time you purchase something from a store, regardless of whether it's organic or conventional, even though your intention may be good, there are hidden costs behind each item, including its production as well as how it gets disposed of, once done with using it. It's no wonder then why we're seeing garbage piles up everywhere these days. Improper waste disposal can have a negative effect on the economy. For example, if people are disposing of their trash in an illegal manner, such as dumping it and not paying for its removal, then they will be putting more pressure on municipal budgets that could lead to higher taxes or fewer services provided by government agencies. Effects of improper waste disposal on the ozone layer. As the world becomes more and more polluted, it's not just humans that are affected by our careless actions. The ozone layer is impacted as well due to improperly disposed waste products from industry or agriculture. Every day an average of 18 million pounds of household hazardous wastes are adequately discarded in landfills across America, but there are a few mistakes made during this process that can affect not only people on Earth but also those living up above us like astronauts. Improper disposal, such as dumping materials down storm drains, has been identified as one major cause for degrading the protective ozone layer around Earth because these chemicals travel through environmental waterways into groundwater supplies where they become deposited onto the surface waters when rain falls over them. EPA. Effects of improper waste disposal on acid rain. Imagine a world without acid rain. That's not possible, you say? Well, it could be if we were more careful with what we put in the ground and where we dump our trash. Waste disposal is one of the leading causes for an increase or decrease in acidity levels, which eventually lead to rainfall that has adverse effects on people living nearby. So let's do something about this before it's too late. Effects of improper waste disposal on non-living things. A mountain is a place of beauty. The trees, the plants, the the rocks, it's all majestic in its own way. It takes an exclusive environment to create such natural and scenic value. Unfortunately for this area of the pristine wilderness, there are those who like to stop at nothing when they see something as valuable or more so than themselves. Humans have proven that we cannot coexist with nature without having our hands on everything we can get away with destroying out of desperation or greediness. Many of us don't think twice about where our trash goes or how it affects the environment around us, but when we consider that all this debris and refuse is not biodegradable, only a tiny fraction will decompose within an estimated 200 years, one can see why such things are harmful to nature's delicate ecosystem.